The first-class cabin hummed with the quiet luxury of wealth. Marcus Vaughn settled into his seat, loosening his tie with practiced exhaustion. At 41, he was CEO of Vaughn Global Enterprises, flying back from closing a deal that would add another $100 million to the company's value. He should have felt triumphant. Instead, he just felt tired. Bone-deep, soul-crushing tired. The flight attendant approached with champagne. "Congratulations on your business success, Mr. Vaughn. I saw the news coverage. May I offer you a drink to celebrate?" "Just water, please," Marcus said, closing his eyes against the headache building behind them. He was about to put in his noise-canceling headphones when he heard a small voice beside him. "You look tired." "Sir." Marcus opened his eyes to find a little girl standing in the aisle, maybe 5 years old, with red hair and pigtails and a green backpack shaped like a frog. She studied him with the unself-conscious directness only children possess. "I am tired," Marcus admitted, caught off guard by her honesty. "Very tired. My mommy says when you're tired, you need to rest. Not just sleep, but really rest. She says there's a difference." Before Marcus could respond, a woman hurried over, clearly the child's mother. She appeared to be in her early 30s, wearing simple clothes and carrying the exhausted look of a parent traveling alone with a small child. "Emma, I told you not to bother the other passengers." "I'm so sorry, sir." She reached for the girl's hand. "Come back to our seats." "She's not bothering me," Marcus said, surprising himself. "What's the difference between sleep and rest?" Emma looked at her mother for permission, then explained with the seriousness of a child imparting great wisdom. "Sleep is when you close your eyes. Rest is when your heart stops being sad." The simplicity of her words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "Emma has very specific philosophies about life," her mother said with an apologetic smile. "I'm Claire, by the way. We're in the row behind you. Again, I'm sorry if she disturbed you." "Marcus, and she didn't disturb me. She just said something I needed to hear." Claire nodded, understanding in her eyes, then guided Emma back to their seats. Marcus sat there, Emma's words echoing in his mind. When your heart stops being sad. When was the last time his heart hadn't been sad? 20 minutes into the flight, Marcus heard crying from the row behind him. Emma's voice, frustrated and upset. "But I wanted to show him my picture. He looked so sad, Mommy. I wanted to make him smile." "Sweetheart, he's a busy man. We can't bother him, but he needs a picture." Everyone needs pictures when they're sad. Marcus turned around in his seat. "Is everything okay?" Claire looked embarrassed. "Emma drew you a picture. She insisted you need it, but I told her not to bother you again." "I'm sorry." "I'd love to see it," Marcus said, and meant it. Emma's face transformed. She scrambled to show him a crayon drawing of a smiling stick figure under a yellow sun. "This is you when you're happy," she explained. "See? The sun is there because happy people have sun in their lives even when it's dark outside." Marcus took the drawing with hands that trembled slightly. "Thank you, Emma. This is the nicest gift anyone's given me in a long time." "You're welcome." "Mommy, can I sit with Mr. Marcus? Please, just for a little bit?" Claire started to refuse, but Marcus found himself saying, "If it's all right with you, I don't mind the company." Something in his voice must have conveyed how much he meant it. Because Claire hesitated, then nodded. "Just for a little while, Emma, and only if Mr. Marcus is sure." Emma climbed into the empty seat beside Marcus, and they talked. She told him about her grandmother who was sick, which was why they were flying across the country. About her favorite color being green like frogs. About how her daddy had died 2 years ago, but she still talked to him in her prayers. "Do you have kids?" Emma asked. "No, I almost did once, but..." Marcus stopped, surprised he was sharing this. "My wife and I were going to start a family, but she got sick. Cancer. She passed away 3 years ago." "That's why you're so tired," Emma said with absolute certainty. "Your heart is sad because you miss her." "Yes," Marcus whispered. "I miss her very much. My mommy says missing someone means you loved them big. That's a good thing, even when it hurts." They talked for an hour. Emma showed him her coloring book, explained the complex social dynamics of kindergarten, and asked him questions about planes and clouds and whether rich people were happy. "I don't know if money makes people happy," Marcus admitted. "I have a lot of money, and I'm not very happy." "Maybe you need a better job," Emma suggested seriously. Maybe I do. When Emma finally went back to her mother, Marcus sat alone with his thoughts. He'd built an empire in the 3 years since his wife died, throwing himself into work to avoid grief. He'd doubled company value, expanded into new markets, made Forbes lists and business magazine covers, and he'd never been more miserable. The plane hit turbulence suddenly, violent shaking that sent carry-ons tumbling. The captain's voice came over the intercom, calm but firm. "Flight attendants, please take your seats immediately." Marcus heard crying from behind him. Emma, scared. Without thinking, he unbuckled and turned around, ignoring the flight attendant's warning. He knelt by Emma's seat. "Hey, remember what you told me? About the sun being there even when it's dark?" Emma nodded, tears on her face. "Right now it's dark and scary, but the sun is still there above the clouds. We just can't see it yet. Can you be brave until we get back to the sun?" Emma took a shaky breath and nodded. Marcus stayed there, holding her hand through Claire's concerned protests until the turbulence passed. When they landed, Claire approached him at baggage claim. "Thank you," she said, "for being so kind to Emma. She's had a hard couple of years. Losing her father, now her grandmother is dying. But you made her smile today. That's a gift." "She made me smile too," Marcus said. "She reminded me of something I'd forgotten." "What's that?" "That I'm still alive. That I've been so focused on not feeling pain that I've stopped feeling anything at all." Claire wrote her number on a piece of paper. "I know this is unusual, but Emma hasn't connected with anyone like this since her father died. If you're ever in Chicago, maybe you could grab coffee with us? No pressure, just she'd like to see her friend again." Marcus took the number. "I'd like that too." 3 months later, Marcus was back in Chicago. He called Claire, and they met at a children's museum with Emma. The little girl showed him exhibits with enthusiastic explanations, and Marcus found himself genuinely laughing for the first time in years. Over coffee while Emma played, Claire told him about her struggles. Working 2 jobs, caring for her dying mother, trying to give Emma stability despite constant upheaval. "You're doing an amazing job," Marcus said. "Emma is happy, kind, and wise beyond her years. That doesn't happen by accident. I'm barely holding it together most days," Claire admitted. "But I keep going for her." "That's what makes you a good mother. Not perfection, but persistence. Not having all the answers, but showing up anyway." They started talking regularly. Phone calls, then visits when Marcus flew to Chicago for business. Emma became a fixture in his life, and with her, Claire. Slowly, his heart began to thaw. 6 months after the plane ride, Marcus made a decision. He stepped back from daily operations at his company, appointing a COO and restructuring his role. He moved his primary residence to Chicago. "I don't understand," his board said. "You're at the peak of your career. Why would you step back now?" "Because a very wise 5-year-old taught me the difference between sleep and rest, between existing and living. I've been sleepwalking through success. It's time to wake up." He started spending real time with Emma and Claire. Park visits, movie nights, homework help. He taught Emma about business by playing restaurant with her toys. She taught him about joy by insisting they dance in the kitchen while making pancakes. "Why are you doing this?" Claire asked one evening after Emma was asleep. "You barely know us. You could have anyone, do anything. Why choose us?" "Because Emma saw me when I was invisible," Marcus said simply. "Because she cared when she had no reason to. Because she reminded me that life is measured in connections, not achievements. And because somewhere along the way you both became my family." He looked at her directly. "I'm not trying to replace Emma's father. I'm not trying to rescue you. I'm just asking if I can be part of your lives. Because you've already become part of mine, and I don't want to lose that." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "We'd like that very much." 2 years later, Marcus and Claire married in a small ceremony. Emma was Flower Girl, her green frog backpack prominently displayed because she insisted Mr. Froggy needed to be there. In his vows, Marcus said, "A little girl once told me I looked tired." She was right. I was exhausted from running away from grief, from feelings, from life itself. She taught me that rest isn't about sleep. It's about letting your heart heal. Thank you both for helping my heart rest, for teaching me to live again." Emma, now 7, stood during the reception and gave her own speech. "When I met Mr. Marcus on the plane, he was very sad. Now he smiles lots. That's because love makes people happy. I knew he needed us and we needed him. That's how families work. Marcus eventually restructured his company to focus on work-life balance, family leave policies, and support for employees dealing with grief. He became an advocate for mental health in corporate environments, speaking openly about his journey from workaholism to wellness, but his favorite role was the one he played every evening, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, being present for the small moments that make up a life. "Do you ever regret it?" Claire asked one night. "Stepping back from the company, changing everything?" "Never," Marcus said, watching Emma sleep peacefully in the next room. "A little girl on a plane told me I looked tired, and she was right. But she also showed me how to rest, how to heal, how to live instead of just existing. That's worth more than any business deal I ever closed. Because sometimes the most important meetings happen in the most unexpected places. Sometimes a child's simple observation can crack open a heart that's been closed for years. And sometimes, the family we choose becomes the greatest success we'll ever achieve. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales about finding life in unexpected places. Comment about a time when a child's wisdom changed your perspective. Sometimes the most profound truths come from the smallest voices.